Hi, everybody. My name's Dhaman Mehta, and thank you for clicking on my video about my journey through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. Wow, I really screwed up that intro. Uh, Whatever, we're keeping it. So, if you're on this video, you probably know, but let's just dive in saying I've been reading fanfiction for a very, very long time, and I decided to go through my favorites list on the first site that I originally started reading it on and reread all the stories in order of publication date to see if my tastes had changed in the many years since I had started reading these. So I have 7 stories for you here. So let's dive into them. Starting with Apparently Video Games Really Are Bad for Your Brain by Nemesis13. This is a Sword Art Online fanfic where Kirito gets gender bent into, just as a girl, Keiko, and it goes like that's the main that's the main starting difference for this fic. But that leads to a whole lot of other stuff. Like the author actually makes the gender change meaningful, as Keiko acts very differently from canon, as being a girl, being a girl and being a little bit more social, she gets forced into being the face of the frontliners instead of being the loner beater that Kirito is. And the wider cast interactions are very, very different and consistent, as opposed to, like I said, Kirito being a loner who fucks off to nowhere every few minutes or so. So that's very, very different. And then there's another added difference that gets put in where the government actually starts streaming Keiko's POV to the rest of Japan. And then so we also have snippets and like whole chapters and plot lines happening in the real world being, and plans being made and changed based on what Keiko is doing in the game and all this stuff. That's all really interesting. I think this works pretty well, as like I said, Keiko and the team around her become real characters instead of just being basically just props to show off Kirito's amazingness and such. I like this. I did enjoy this, and I think it's a solid fic worth looking at, even if it doesn't get very far into the actual story. But yeah, so it's going to stay on my list. Number 2 is Only I Have the Rights by SpoonandJohn. And this is a short little fic that basically takes every Harry Potter fanfic trope and cranks it up to 11. It's obviously written as a joke and meant to be like a bad fic, as in the summary says. But it just doesn't land well, and it just highlights that bad writing is still bad. So yeah, if you want to see an asshole Harry speedrun his way through evil Dumbledore, betrayal from everyone, alive parents, becoming a goblin friend, and so on and all this stuff, I guess you'll like it. But like, I just found this like as obnoxious and annoying as everything it was trying to mock. So yeah, it's gonna fall off my list. Number 3 is That I Should Rise and You Should Not by winterziyle. So this is a Harry Potter crossover with The Walking Dead, where basically Harry and the cast end up with like the post season 2, like right after, like at the start of season 3 Walking Dead team. Basically the biggest problem I had with this story comes from right at the beginning. You have Harry Potter, witches and wizards, and like these are the main Harry Potter cast. After they've had some magic, this is like them coming in from the 4th at the start of the, like right after the Quidditch World Cup at the start of the 4th book. But they've already so that means like Harry and his friends have already dealt with a whole bunch of stuff. They still have their wands, they still have their magic, they have a bunch of other resources and stuff, and they're having trouble with the basic ass zombies of The Walking Dead. There's no explanation, or at least given, or at least there's not like, oh, these zombies are super like super resistant to magic and also super strong or anything. Nothing is really explained why they can't use magic to solve the problems. And I'm not saying like, oh, just use magic to like disappear them all. Like, granted, they should be able to. You can use like they have spells that will blow shit up and do things like that's all there. But even if you can't, or even if they were directly resistant to magic or stuff, you can literally transmogrify shit all the time. Like make spike walls. Make things like you should not like literally Ginny should not die in like the first chapter by like a small attack of zombies like that. Hell, a horde of zombies should not even be a thing that happens to you, because you have, not only do they have like in that group like 8 magic guys, including Harry, Hermione, Draco, Ron, Luna, and Ginny, and so on. They have Remus and Sirius. Like, you have a lot of magic at you. Like, there should be nothing in The Walking Dead, you know, at least zombie-wise, should be causing you any problems. And like that kind of like thing just sank the whole story for me, because like I'm just like, you're running into issues that should not exist, and it's only like it's just like not using the characters right. So yeah, I just could not get past that and continue with this story, so it's gonna fall off my list. Next is Terminal Justice, by the author Overkill, aka Irrational Intelligence. This was reposted by Nalanda, and this is an unofficial sequel to the Make-A-Wish series by Rorschach's Blot, which was a Harry Potter series that I really enjoyed. It's one of the first fics I actually came across on this website, like in the Harry Potter genre that I was reading. I think it's like, it was on my favorites list. It's one of the oldest fics on my favorites list, so it's like in a very early section. And I really like it. It's a comedy, where basically Harry was just in the wrong place at the wrong time or something. Like, stuff happens around Harry and everything gets contributed to him making a bigger, larger than life reputation as Mr. Black. And that whole series, those 3 stories, I enjoyed a lot. This one is, 1, written by another author, as I said, and 2, it starts with a crossover where it shunts Mr. Black into the DC universe. And that also, those 2 things also lead to a slight change in the main joke. Whereas, like, the main joke, especially in the first story of this and stuff, is that things are just happening around Harry and he's getting attributed to them, and it's more like just like that kind of stuff. And even as he gets more powerful, it's still like misunderstandings being attributed to him. Whereas here, it's the main story is like he's actually powerful enough, and like he has power and knows stuff of, like, you know, he can punch with the best of them. He's literally starts by like beating up and laying out Supergirl in a training area, so he's already top tier powerhouse and stuff. But it all just leads to, oh, I did do something, you know, powerful and big, but I'm going to talk about it slightly vaguely, so you think I'm talking about something else that happened, either much older or much later, just like different thing that is a even bigger like thing. It's like, oh, I beat up this one, like the joke will be like, oh, I beat up this one guy, it was a mugger, it was a real pain in my ass. Like, oh, here, let me get an actual one. It's like, oh man, yeah, Lucy, I called him Lucy, and talking about Lucius Malfoy. It's like, he's a real asshole, and like Dumbledore, you know, the old man, you know, did so much, and it's like, oh my god, he's talking about God and Lucifer and stuff, and like that becomes the main joke, where just everything is going on that way and doing it, which is still not a bad joke. I just didn't enjoy it as much as the original joke. Also, just the fact that in this one, Harry is like just as powerful and gets constantly getting more powerful. Kind of like is undercutting like the main premise, which was just he's not actually doing those things. Things are happening around him. But granted, this force thing and like the main other thing that seems to be going in this story that is trying to do is build up like a family. And granted, a main plot point is that it seems to be happening really fast, and like speedrunning it with like Supergirl, Raven, and like another kid from like the Constantine side. I think, I can't remember his name right now, but that's there. Their interactions are fun, and it also, like, being a crossover and going into that, whereas the originals were not, leads to some fun stuff with like the Death Union that Mr. Black becomes and stuff like that. It's enjoyable, but it does still feel like a step down from the originals. If you like the originals and wanted to see a bit more of it, I think you'll like this. I still did as well, but like, I consider the original trilogy and stuff to be like a 9 out of 10. This is like a 7.5, I guess, but I still enjoyed it, and it's still going to stay on my list. Number 5, I believe, is Chronomaniac by Great Dario. This is a time travel fic where Cloud overshoots his time travel target and ends up saving Aerith's mom. And then we get a scene where they head over to meet Child Aerith. And Elfana's like, okay, great, now I'm going to go run and hide, and Cloud's going to come with me to hide from Shinra. And then the story stops. Like, the author just didn't continue, and there's nothing here. Like, there's like a few funny moments, but overall it's a story that barely got its premise out, and then it died. So it's going to fall off my list. Next is Game On 2.0 by Nord Diamas. I talked about Game On 1.0, I guess you could say, or Game On, the first one, in the last video, which was, female Harry after canon does a reboot in a new universe and has the gamer ability and such. So this is a direct sequel to that, where after she finished her life in the Hitman Reborn universe, she now continues into a new life in FMA as at the Elric's third sibling, or second sibling, like, essentially. And there's also some other stuff here. I remember that Hitman, like, even though I didn't continue and go through the story and I kicked the original story off, I do remember plot points where, like, Hitman and Femme Harry, like, reborn, and Harry start falling in love and doing it, and he also gets reborn in this as Roy Mustang. So that is a thing there. And the writing is a little bit better, I think, here. It's definitely felt easier to follow, but I'm sure part of that is also just because I know FMA, because I watched, like, at least the original anime and such, whereas I knew nothing about Hitman Reborn. So that's part of there, but it also did seem like the writer spends more time with the scenes, and you can actually understand more what's going on here. Aside from that, the story goes on, but, like, it's now starts feeding into, like I said, those with, like, Reborn coming back and stuff, things getting carried over from the first story, which I did not really care for and reread, so did not fully reread. So I just kind of stopped caring and wasn't really interested in this. If you enjoyed the first one, this is better written, I feel, than the first one, and so you might enjoy this and its further sequels, but I just didn't connect with this anymore, so this is gonna fall off my list. Alright, and the last one for this video is Further Adventures of the Lone Traveler by Dunuelos. So this is a Harry Potter fic that crosses over with many things. I've talked about it much before because it's mainly a snippet collection overall, and this is more of the same, but the thing is, like, one thing that you'll see is with a lot of, like, snippet collections is, or even, like, type loop things, they'll be all over the place, various things. Usually they're not actually sequential and going in a chronological story. These are, like, the snippets that happen in the first collection are happening before the ones in this one, and so on and so forth. And so that does lead to a consistent behavior or character growing up, but that actually leads to the problem that I had with this. So here it's still mostly the same, though there are instead of a lot of shorter segments, it's more multi-chapter ones. Like most of these are multi-chapter segments, where Harry shows up onto a world and starts solving upcoming problems by talking things out or forcing people to talk. The problem is now Harry, has been doing this for a long time and has created a multiversal reputation where his presence now is in legend, and so anytime he goes to a world, he can just be like, yo, I'm the lone traveler, listen to me, and everybody just stops and does. So it stops being about subtle or natural conversations that, oh, hey, maybe we just needed a new point of view, or somebody to actually just like think for a second to call stuff out to fix a problem, and more just, hey, I'm here, you should listen to me, this guy's being an idiot, this guy's this, stop and do it, and everybody just does. And that, like, you'd think that would be only in the Harry Potter, like the pure Harry Potter sections, but it also kind of, because that's his now like modus operandi, that starts going into the other stuff too. Like that's how he behaves in the Star Trek thing, where he just takes over as a thing going on between the oh my god, I'm blanking on the names. But like in the big, like a big first contact thing, he just comes over and says like, yeah, I'm not a human, even though I look exactly like a human and such, but like I'm gonna just help you guys actually work things out and do it, and you gotta listen to me. And it's like, that's just boring. Like I get it. And like obviously a lot of people have been like, hey, stupid, listen to me and I can fix everything. Like that's a thing. If you want that, that's there. But like I like the more natural, like random conversations or like thought processes and jumping, and the more casual subtlety that was there in the earlier stuff than this. So yeah, this one is gonna fall off my list. And there we go. 7 more stories I've now read. Fanfiction status time. I've now read 1,195 stories, and 552 of them have managed to stay on my list. Thank you for watching. This series should hopefully be coming to an end by the end of the year. We'll see. I have like 50 stories left to go on this list, so we'll see what's going on. But as always, I leave links to the stories in the description of the video down below, as well as links to like a playlist for all the videos, a forum where I write all these things out and post them there as well. So yeah, lots of places, lots of things to check out. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.